Hey folks, this is the third video in the C programming series, and in this video we'll talk further about how do we declare variables and other required statement for the beginning of C programming. In the last video we finished at how do we declare the variables. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment on the each video as a doubt occurs in your mind. So we stopped at declaring a variable. Actually, variable is an essential part of a program, and to use it or to use a variable in any program, the first step is to declare it. And by declaring, actually we inform C about this variable, and this information is mainly what is the type of this variable. By type, I mean what kind of values a variable can contain. And we begin the declaration statement just after completion of a function, start of a function. So the first statement of the function, that is declaration of function, is completed. After that, we declare these variables before any executable statement. And an example of declaring a variable is like int radius. That is, radius will be a variable of type integer, so it might not hold floating point value, and float area may contain floating point value. And by declaring, this screen is covering when we declare a variable what it creates in the memory and the computer space. So basically, when we declare a variable, a memory is booked for this variable, just like in this part of the screen. When I declare a variable int named as balls, so a memory is booked. This is the memory address. By garbage, I mean, since we just declare it, it can have any value, maybe 0, 100, 1000, or some characters that is not suitable for this value, and its type is mentioned here. So this address is reserved for an integer type value and whose name will be balls in this program. We need to take care of something while declaring a variable. You declared it, it's good, but we cannot use it until we give a value to it. And if we use it before giving it a value, then this will cause an runtime error that will not be able to identify. So remember that before using a variable, we need to assign it a value. And we saw two data type in previous screen, integer and float. Basically, we can have these type of variables in C. Character means this variable will store a single alphabetical value. It can be alphabets or numbers or symbols like plus, minus, closing bracket, opening bracket, anything. And its size in the memory will be 8-bit or 1 byte, and its range will be minus 128 to minus plus 127. And character can be of three types, that is signed and unsigned and simple character. If you normally write char, it can have both positive and negative value. Unsigned character should be having only positive value, so its range is 0 to 255, and signed character is same as the character. Int is a data type that holds the whole digit values, that is a numeric value without decimal point, and typically its size is 2 byte, although these size directly associated with the computer's hardware, that is the processor. If processor is 2 byte, then this will be the actual size. If processor is 32 bit, then this might be more, size might be doubled, and for 64-bit processor they might be 4 times. So basically this 16 depends on the processor type, and accordingly the sizes will be decided for other types. So if processor is of 2 byte, then int will be having size of 2 byte, and then accordingly size of other type will be decided. Again, int are having signed and unsigned, similarly to the character signed and unsigned. In int we have three types: int, then short int, and then long int. And in floating point values, again we have three types: float, double, and long double, and accordingly their sizes varies. And to use a variable, we must assign a value to it. Like in this example, I am declaring an integer variable along with its initialization. So we can initialize and declare them in a single line, and impact of this will be a memory area booked for this variable with name length, and instead of that garbage value, now it has the value we have given in the program. Accordingly it's for different type. And if you don't want to initialize while declaring it, we can assign it a value later with the assignment operator, that is the equal to operator. But don't get confused with the equality. It doesn't denote the equality. It just assign value in the right hand side to the variable in the left hand side. But remember that in the left hand side there should be a variable. We call it as L value, and L value must be a variable with some memory address. It should not be a constant value. And function is an essential component of every C program. So we will be using, at least in C program, at least we will be writing main function, which is the execution point of the start point of the execution of the program. And we can use some built-in function, like in previous program we use printf to display some information. And after some time we'll see how we create a function, and we can have our own videos on functions in next subsequent videos. If we need to have some input from user, then again we have a function called scanf, and this allows us to ask user that please input a value for this variable. This scanf function requires two values to take an input from user. First is the data type of input value, so what kind of value we are expecting from user, and an address where to store this value. And this address will be giving by using the variable name and preceded with this ampersand operator. We'll again come to this. And to display a variable, we can use printf function. We already used it briefly. Now we'll see it in detail. The printf function again need two values to display it. One is how to display it, that is the some information on formatting it, its data type, and then what value to be displayed. So here this will come to these %f and /n in some subsequent slides. And note that in previous slide there was ampersand, here there is no ampersand, because here is just displaying it value, but in scanf we are changing the value of a variable, so we need to pass its address while changing it. We'll discuss this again in detail, this ampersand, and not to use ampersand in again detail when we are writing our own function. But we need to, for now we need to remember that in printf we will not be using ampersand before variable name. And this %f here, %f denotes that we will be displaying a floating point value, and this /n is just will display a new line, that is the next value will be displayed after this value. It will be on next line, not just after this value. Printf have many other capabilities, we'll see in subsequent slide. These are the other backslash codes like /n. If you need to do a backspace /b, a form feed, a new line, a horizontal tab, double quotation, all these can be used in printf with this slash quotes. And these are the format specifier for the printf and scanf for different type of values. For long double, we'll be using %lf, L will be capital here. For double, in printf we can use %f, but in scanf we need to use %lf. So these are the symbols to use for the variables of different type in printf as well as scanf. Both of these function returns a value. Like for example, if a variable I has value 810 and we have used printf as this, and n equal to we have written before printf to receive the value what printf is returning here, and similarly to receive the scanf value we have given this. Here we are reading an integer value and then a floating point value. So m and n will be having a value after successful execution of these statements. Basically printf returns the total number of character it has printed, or negative value if there is some error in printing. So this n should be having value 3 because it will be displaying 8, 1 and 0, that is 3 characters. Similarly, scanf returns the total number of successful input values. So if both variable receives a value and that is successful, then m will be having 2 value. So n should be having 3 and m should be 2. Generally, we didn't see any returned value by these statements, but they are returning. So if you like to reuse it, we can use them. Now we'll be going in further details on the declaration and assignments. In this part of the program, here I'm just declaring 3 variables. With the declaration, this will be the situation in the memory. There is a memory booked for the inches, feet and fathoms, but the values there may be garbage. It may have some clean memory, like if this computer just started, you may receive some 0 values here, but not sure at any time. They may change at any time. But when you write these statement after this declaration, and these are the executable statements, so declaration should be in the first line of the function, first few lines before any executable statement. And once these statements executed, this will be the situation in the memory. So now you will be having values for your variables, and then we can print them as appropriate and with appropriate format. So this will be printing in one line, that is the def.c. Then again in a line fathoms value will be displayed, then next fathoms and new line, then in feet value displayed, then new line, and finally inches and new line. This return 0 will be returned to operating system as we saw in the last video. This is all for today's video. In the next video, we will continue with the same program. We'll enhance it with some recommendation and good programming practice, and then we'll continue. Remember to like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel. Comment is important so that you can clear your doubts. In case of any doubt, feel free to write them in comment. I'll try to cover as soon as possible. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe the channel.